Now that we have created the entire main body, I'll firstly work on the base, which is this region wherein you have the motor. So I'll be just calling it as you know just press Ctrl Z over here. We can call it as motor cover. Okay, so it's a plastic enclosure with cutouts for USB, on switch, type C charging port, and it must have features for placing PCB and motor and screw bosses. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is a kind of plastic enclosure, basically circular in shape, and it should have cutouts that can allow the user to connect the USB port, the type C port. So basically the cutouts is just spaces for accommodating the PCB on which you have the USB ports, the type C port, and the on off button. So you should have some features such as this ribs or bosses that will allow the PCB placement and the popping out of the required ports from which user can access. So we'll be working on this plastic cutout, and you can see this is the bottom view. It's kind of open from the bottom, and it has a closed surface at the top with a hole in the center for the motor shaft to pop out. So we'll be working on something similar thing. So firstly I'll be just saving as this entire body blender with motor cover. So I'll just write motor cover underscore blender. Okay, naming convention is pretty important because it allows us to understand what are we working on. So I'll just go to open. I'll just open the motor cover blender. All right, now I have the entire set of body. From this I'll just press Ctrl D, go to the front view, align it to normal, select extrude, and firstly I'll just remove the upper portion of the entire blender. All right, so we can just do it within extrude. I'll ensure that the dimensions are strong dimensions. So I selected all the dimensions and pressed Ctrl plus T in the keyboard. So I'll just go back, undo. So you can see the dimensions are light blue in color. That means these are weak dimensions. I want them to be strong. Press Ctrl T, press OK. Just change this to symmetric and remove material. Press OK. So you have the material removed and you're just left with the bottom region of the plastic enclosure. Now if you can see clearly, there is another region over here. So this is the base. Okay, we can have this as a separate feature. Okay, so what we can do is we can add a round basically. All right, and we can increase the round size to say 1 or 0.2. 0.25 looks good to me. Now just remember, we are just assuming the dimensions right now. We are just trying to create something as close to our portable blender what we have. Okay, so I've created the motor cover blender over here. Now let me just consider this to be a separate part. All right, so I'll just save it. I'll just go to save as. I'll just write base motor cover. All right, so this will be the base of the motor cover, and press OK. I'll just open again the base what we have, and I'll just delete the upper portion. So in the front view I'll just click on extrude and I'll just delete the upper portion. So this will be another separate part what we have. All right, on which we can work later. I'll just save it, and from this window I'll change and come back to this motor cover, and here I'll be just deleting the bottom region because we have a separate part for that. I'll just click on extrude, select this edges, ensure that I have no weak dimensions, select the dimensions and press Ctrl T, press OK, go to symmetry and ensure that you're deleting or removing the material. Now you just have the upper portion, okay, the main plastic enclosure. Now this is the plastic material. All right, now obviously based on manufacturability you'll be having different minimum material thicknesses. So let us explore what's the material thickness for uh, you know the minimum material thickness for plastic. Okay, minimum material thickness for plastic manufacturing. Okay, so different materials has different types of plastics have different material thicknesses. The minimum is 0.8. I'm sure this is inches. All right. Yep, so you can see over here there is a chart. Okay, so the ABS has in mm 1.143 to 3.56. All right, do we have in inches? I'll just write in inches. Nevertheless, we can just convert millimeters to inches. So imagine if you're considering it to be ABS, it's 1.143. all right, so I'm just keeping it as 0.045 inches, but what we can do is we can have it to be 0.5 at least. All right, so if I'm just pressing Control D, this will be the standard orientation of my part. All right, we need not get confused what's the correct orientation. All right, so firstly I'll just shell it from the base. All right, I'll just press shell, and I'll just play with the thicknesses. So 0.5 is not working for this. Let me just write 0.1. There's some issue with shell, I believe. All right, the issue is, if you can see, there is a certain amount of round left at the corners. All right, so I've not extruded it correctly. So firstly what I have to do is I have to readjust my extrude so that I do not have unwanted features. Now obviously in this course I'm doing this for the very first time, so this is how conceptual designing is. You will be getting a lot of errors when you're working. You have to solve them and proceed forward. So it's kind of debugging, what we call in software programming terms. Why is it partially placed? So I'll just select the references. Now it's deleted. Control D, shell it from the base. Yes, here it goes. So let's keep a thickness of 0.08, sorry, 0.08. all right, so this is the base. It is holding the motor, it is holding the PCB, it's holding the battery. So I want it to be a little bit strong, so let's have a thickness of 0.1 inches. all right, now I'll just press OK. Now the base is almost ready for us. Now we just have to create some features for accommodating the motor or other parts. all right, now firstly the next part, what we have below it, okay, the base, that will be screwed to this what do you call this, enclosure. So we need to create few bosses which comes from this top surface, okay, at maybe corners. all right, 3 corners, and we need to ensure that it is basically paired up with this plastic enclosure at those corners. okay, so let us create 3 bosses first of all. So I'll just select this surface, click on extrude. all right, now I'll be planning to create 3 bosses which is at 60 degrees each. all right, so I'll just ensure that this angle is sorry, it shouldn't be 636 it shouldn't be 60 degrees, it should be 360 by 2. which 360 by 3, because I want 3 positions, so it will be 120. All right, all right. So first position will be over here, second will be over here, and third will be over here. All right, now I'll just create circles first. Right now I'm not focused about the diameters, I'll be just creating them. All right, so I've created this circle, and I'll just plot another concentric circle so that my other holes are exactly, or bosses are placed at exact position. So this will be equal, should get an equal symbol. Yes, all right. Let me just place it somewhere over here, maybe 1.5. all right, so you can see over here I've created in a way that I've extruded from the base. For that reason it's kind of popping out the you know, the shell, but we should not have this thing coming out. So what we can do is we can create a plane at this level and try to extrude it up to the next surface. That is another you know, good idea for creating bosses. So I'll be just creating in that way right now. So firstly I'll select this surface, and from here I'll create a plane which is exactly half of the entire length, maybe 1.5. the direction is downward. I'll select this plane and click on extrude, and I'll just quickly create a center line which is at 120 degrees. 120 again. All right, now let me randomly draw a circle. Just draw it from inside. Keep a diameter of 0.5 for now, and on the same diameter I'll position another 2 circles which are equal with respect to the diameter of the first one. All right, now I'll be just using this to next, and you can see it's extruded but it's not coming out from the enclosure. All right, so this is one way of creating the bosses. The other way could be much better than this one. What we can do is, sorry, just press Ctrl D. I want to flip it. Okay, and I'll just delete them. I'll reduce the dia of this somewhere over here, and I'll create a circle, say 0.35 dia. This is circle number 1. Sorry, not over here. What will be the first position? How much is this? 60. Yup. So I'll create over here 0.35. Then this will be the next position, and this will be the next position. All right, along with this we can add a rib. Okay, so I'm just trying to help you understand how we can create better designs. Okay, so you have seen the first way, which is a circle which is directly paired up with the walls, and this is another way which you can create. All right, so I'll just create one you know, parallel line with the center line what I have. All right, ensure that this is parallel. You can see there is a parallel symbol, so that indicates it's a parallel line. And I'll just mirror it. All right, and I'll just project a line over here, and I'll create a corner so that it forms a closed loop. These two lines are not forming, I don't know why. I can just delete and see. So this is a closed surface, and if I'm extruding it, okay, let me just go to variable. This is happening. Yep, now I got it. So you can see I've created a kind of rib over here, but what's the thickness of this rib? So generally we have to maintain the thickness equal to the thickness of the wall. Okay, now do you remember what is the thickness of the wall? If you don't, you can just click on edit shell and you can see it's 0.1. So I'll come back to the extrude again, and I'll just click on edit, ensure that this distance is 0.1 and it's symmetric across the center line. So I'll do the same stuff on the other side by pausing. Yep, now you can see that I've created the same ribs of 0.1 inches thickness, and I'll just press OK right now and see what's happening. So you can see that the ribs and the bosses are created. Look, the diameter of the bosses is unclear right now. We are just assuming and we are moving forward. When we are coming to the point where we are you know, adding screws and stuff, we can modify the wall thicknesses of those bosses. All right, now I've just created the bosses you know, at the half the length of the entire enclosure. Okay, the plastic enclosure, I have not created it completed till the top portion. Okay, so what I'll be doing is we have the other base, this part I'll be creating counter bosses for that part, something similar to like this image what we have. So you can see the bosses are protruding at the half region of the entire enclosure, and the counter bosses are coming from the base, okay, which is at the base of the entire enclosure. All right, so firstly we'll be moving forward to the next part, and before that I need to ensure that I'm assembling them. So I'll just create an assembly, blender assembly. I'll just press OK, click on assemble. I'll go to the parts which are in session, and I'll select the motor cover blender, and I'll just press OK, click on default, and this part is imported over here. I'll just pause the video over here and we'll catch up in the next video.